Alright, today we're going to be solving quadratics by completing the square. Don't forget to take notes as you go and complete the survey. So the pattern we found in class today was to take half of b and square it. So we're going to use this to solve quadratic equations by completing the square. So instead of having to make a square with tiles every time, you can follow these steps. So first you want to add or subtract the c to the right side of the equal sign. So then we're going to find half of b and square it. We're going to add this to both sides of the equal sign. Then we're going to factor the left side of the equation. We're going to take the square root and simplify the radical. Then we're going to rewrite the two equations, the plus and the minus, and solve for the variable. So let's try it. So first, we're going to add 39 to both sides. Okay. So when we do that, we're left with n squared minus 2n is equal to 39. We're going to take half of b, so negative 2 divided by 2, and we're going to square it. Well, negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is equal to 1. So we're going to add 1 to both sides. So now we have n squared minus 2n plus 1 is equal to 40. So now I have to factor the left side. So I make my table. I need something that multiplies to be 1 and adds to be negative 2. So this will be negative 1 and negative 1. These should always match. If they don't, we've done something wrong. So now I've got n minus 1 times n minus 1 is equal to 40. This is the same as n minus 1 squared is equal to 40. So I take the square root of both sides, and I get n minus 1 is equal to the square root of 40. So then I need to simplify the square root of 40. Well, this breaks into my perfect square of 4 and 10. This is my perfect square, so I take the square root of that and put it on the outside and keep the other piece on the inside. So now I have 2 square root of 10. So now I have n minus 1 is equal to 2 square root of 10, and n minus 1 is equal to negative 2 square root of 10. So to solve this, I just need to add 1 to both sides. So now I have n is equal to 1 plus 2 square root of 10, and n is equal to 1 minus 2 square root of 10. If you don't like putting the 1 out front, you can also tag it onto the back. So for my second example, I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides of the equal sign. I get n squared plus 10n is equal to negative 16. Now I've got to take half of b and square it. So that would be 5. I'm going to square that, which is 25. So then I've got to add 25 to both sides of the equation. So that's n squared plus 10n plus 25 is equal to 9. So then, when I make my table, I need something that multiplies to be 25, but adds to be 10. So that's 5 and 5. So now I've got n plus 5 times n plus 5 is equal to 9. So that's n plus 5 squared equals 9. So when I take the square root of 9, I've got n plus 5. So I take the square root of 9, and that's just 3, and n plus 5 is equal to negative 3. So then I subtract 5 from both sides, and I get n is equal to negative 2 and n is equal to negative 8. So then my third example, I'm going to add 85 to both sides. So then I have x squared minus 6x is equal to 85. I take half of b and square it. So that means 6 divided by 2 is 3. I'm going to square that, which equals 9. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. So x squared minus 6x plus 9 is equal to 94. So then I make my table. And I've got to multiply to get 9 and add to get negative 6. So this will be negative 3 and negative 3. So now I've got x minus 3 times x minus 3 is equal to 94. This is the same as x minus 3 squared equals 94. So I take the square root and I get x minus 3 equals the square root of 94. Well, I need to simplify that. So then the square root of 94, well, I know 2 goes into 94, but it's not a perfect square. So 2 and 47. 47 doesn't break anymore. And so the square root of 94 is actually simplified. So I can leave it like that. So I've got x minus 3 equals 94, but I need x minus 3 equals negative square root of 94 as well. So then I add 3 to both sides. And I get x is equal to 3 plus the square root of 94. And when I add 3 the second time, I get x is equal to 3 minus the square root of 94. So some things to remember. A must be 1 in order to complete the square. You're going to take half of b and square it, and make sure you simplify the radicals. Fill out the notes, do the survey, bring your notes to class tomorrow. Here are the survey questions in case you can't read them or you're doing the DVD.